Welcome to the Wisdom That Breathes channel. Across all our platforms, we try to share wisdom which is relevant and accessible to everyone. But on this particular platform, we go deeper into some of the ancient principles found within the scriptures. If you find some of the terminology difficult or inaccessible, then go over to our Keshava Swami YouTube channel where you'll be able to find other content which is perhaps more relatable. Thank you and enjoy the wisdom that breathes.
So Maharaj, with your kind permission, if we can,
sure,
we can
please
start.
Go ahead.
Thank you, Maharaj. Forgive me for the questions that doesn't sound too good, but these are like something that is very common. So Maharaj, to start with, as we all can see, you are a young Swami. So people think
relatively
sannyas is for old people, isn't it?
Well, I wish I was younger. I'm 43 now, as you can see. I'm losing my voice. Losing the voice, didn't have much beauty, otherwise I would say I'm losing my beauty as well. Definitely losing my hair. So not so young anymore. I'm 43 now, so they say that's the youth of old age. So your question is, sannyas is for old people.
That's what
I guess my question to anyone who says that is, what does it mean to be old? What is the definition of old? Okay?
Thoughts. You're older with your mind, not with your soul and body.
Okay, so old, you're saying old is not a physical thing, it's dependent on your evolution of thought. See, it depends how you define old. One time, Srila Prabhupada was giving sannyas to one young person and someone made the same objection and said, how can you give sannyas to such a young person? And Srila Prabhupada looked at the reporter and said, what does it mean to be old? The reporter was just in his 20s. So the reporter couldn't answer, and Srila Prabhupada said, to be old means to be close to death. So Prabhupada looked at the reporter and he said, can you guarantee that you will not die before me? The reporter said, no, I can't. Prabhupada said, therefore you're old, I'm old, everyone's old, because we're all perhaps close to death. So this is another way to define who is old. So yes, sometimes people think sannyas is something you do in your old age, but ultimately in one sense we're all old. But perhaps I could just pick up on something here, that this is related to another argument that people have, which is that why don't I take up religion when I'm old? Isn't it? People generally say like that. Get a job, do well in the world, fulfill all your ambitions, meet all your goals and fulfill all your desires, and then become religious. Why so early? Why so serious, so young? People think religion is a retirement plan. But actually, the whole idea of spirituality is it's meant to teach you who you are, why you're here, and what the purpose of life is. Do you think these are the questions you should ask at the beginning of your life or at the end of your life? You don't go in a car, start driving, and then after 2 hours ask the person sitting next to you, by the way, where are we going? Before you even get in the car, you should have the idea. Therefore, people sometimes think religion or spirituality or becoming serious is something you do when you're old. But actually it's something you do as early as possible, because then it makes the rest of your life meaningful and impactful. And therefore, you don't have to take sannyas. Don't worry. We do have vacancies if you're interested. But we do encourage everyone to at least deepen their spirituality as early as possible, because it will help you in every aspect of your life.
So like you said, Maharaj, it seems like a good option. What is the best thing about being a Swami for you?
What's the best thing about being a Swami? Well, in an ancient book, the Brahma Samhita, the spiritual world is described. And it said, in the spiritual world, every step is a dance, every word is a song, and every act is an act of service and love. And this is the spiritual world. I think the best thing about being a Swami is that not a day goes by where we're not dancing, not a day goes by where we're not singing, and not a day goes by where we are not doing some kind of service for Krishna. And therefore, sometimes I feel like being a Swami is like being in the spiritual world even while being in the material world.
Wow, that's a good deal, being a Swami. So then what is the hardest thing, Maharaj, being a Swami?
What's the hardest thing? Oh my God. I think there's so many beautiful things that we can do, that the hardest thing to do when you're a Swami is to say no. Because there's so many options, there's so many opportunities, there's so many beautiful things, and what to do, we are limited. And so sometimes we have to learn to say no, but that's very difficult, so that's the hard thing, I guess.
Saying no. That's hard for us as well, Maharaj, sometimes. So, yeah, if you could go back in your life, would you like to do anything differently?
Be nicer to my mom. I think one thing that I lacked in my life, and maybe I still do lack, is confidence. I feel like, and maybe many of you can also relate to this, that there's many beautiful things that we're meant to do in our lives, but sometimes because we don't have confidence, then we don't even try. I feel like when I was young, I was too much overcome by fear. Fear of what may go wrong, fear of what other people would say, fear of failure, fear of feeling embarrassed. And I feel that this fear held me back a lot. And later on, when I came to Krishna consciousness, or still trying to, but when I came in contact with the teachings of the Bhagavad Gita, I think the thing that it gave me the most was confidence. Srila Prabhupada, his name is Abhay Charan. And Abhay Charan means one who is fearless, having taken shelter of Krishna's lotus feet. And so I experienced a little bit of fearlessness when I came to Krishna consciousness, and continue to feel that more and more. And if I could turn back the clock, I'd like to live with that fearlessness even in my youth. I feel so many amazing things could have happened. But better late than never.
We all feel amazing thing happened with you, Maharaj. Before I continue with more questions, now because Maharaj is here and we started with a series of questions of him being a Swami, if any of us would like to ask him more how he became Swami or anything, we have the open mic. Just
questions on how to ignore ignorance. How to ignore ignorance? So, each of us, we are spirit souls, and as spirit souls, we are pure consciousness. Sachit Ananda Vigraha is explained. So the soul has no ignorance. The soul is pure. Krishna says the soul cannot be withered by the wind or burned by fire or cut by a sword. The soul is pure, eternal, unchanging, can never be overcome by ignorance. But what happens is there's layers that come over the soul. And so the only way that we can overcome ignorance is that we just have to reawaken our original consciousness. We don't have to learn something new. We just have to remember who we really are. And so the only way to overcome ignorance is to reawaken knowledge. And that's why the Bhagavad Gita is there. And after 45 minutes of hearing the Bhagavad Gita, then what does Arjuna say to Krishna? Nasto moha smrite labdva tvat prasadat mayachyuta stitosmi gata sandeha karishye vachanam tava. Arjuna says, moha, all my ignorance, all my illusion, nasta, is completely gone. And I've regained my memory, and now I have incredible clarity on what I need to do. So oftentimes in life we find that there's confusion. Oftentimes in life we feel that we know what we want to do, but still something inside of us impulsively takes us in another direction. This means that there is ignorance still covering the soul. So the way to overcome that is through knowledge. Tamasi ma jyotirgama, the Upanishads say that. Come out of darkness, come into light, and that's possible through transcendental knowledge. Is that okay? As a monk, do I get stressed? Sometimes people see us in robes, in bright orange, always giving the lecture, and they sometimes think we're superhuman and we're somehow beyond everything in the world. But no, we are also human beings. We also have good days and bad days. We have times when we get angry, and we have times when we also feel stressed. I think we're all trying to become the best versions of ourselves. And so, yes, there are days when we also struggle and we feel that stress. But what I would say is that now when I feel stress, I have more of a ability to immediately put it into context. Before taking up spiritual life, there would be worries, there would be anxieties, there would be stress, but there would be nothing in my life to bring it into perspective. And then what happens is it begins just playing on your mind again and again and again, and you just can't get rid of it, isn't it? It's like, when you have a mango and then one of the fibers gets caught in your teeth. Then the whole day it's like, it's just there, and you can't exactly forget it, So anxiety, stress, problems, they are like that when we don't have spirituality. They just stay there and they're annoying. So, but once you take up Krishna consciousness, then what happens is not that these things disappear, but what happens is you have an incredible ability to deal with them, to put them into perspective. And then what happens is you don't take it as seriously and you learn to move on in your life. Otherwise, what happens is we get stressed, we have worries, we have anxieties, and we're just stuck. We can't move beyond that. So, yes, we get stressed, but we also have a lens through which to see that stress so that it doesn't overwhelm us like that. Is that okay?
Hare Krishna. I'm really grateful to be here. I took the Think Gita course with you 2 years ago.
Oh, okay.
So I'm very happy. I'm having goosebumps that you're here in person. So welcome to Bournemouth. My question is regarding free will and destiny. So how much part of our life is probably free will and how much of it is destined? And what do you think about the state of flow?
Oh, wow. Okay, nice questions. All right, so how much of life is free will and how much is destiny? So we know there are certain things in our life that we can't change. Broadly speaking, it's said 4 things are pretty much determined in your life. Janmeshwarya Shruta Shribhir Eidhamana Madapuman. First thing, Janma, your body, your birth, your family. Can't change that. It is what it is. Second thing, Aishwarya, how much wealth you get. Of course, we can maximize it, we can work hard, we can try. When all is said and done, some people are destined to be millionaires and some people are not. So to some extent, prosperity is to some extent fixed. Shruta, your intelligence. Yes, you can learn, you can study, and that we must do, but to some extent we all have a fixed amount of intelligence at our disposal in this life. And Shri, beauty. Mirror, mirror on the wall. To some extent we can put on makeup and we can do all that other stuff, but to some extent it is what it is. So these are, broadly speaking, the 4 things which are destined in our life. However, within that situation, we all have the opportunity to daily wake up and make decisions. And based on the decisions that you make, that will determine your future janma. That will determine your future Aishwarya. That will determine your future beauty, your future intelligence. And so we're constantly experiencing the karma of our previous acts, but we're constantly, through our decisions in the moment, creating our future karma. And so the beautiful message of the Bhagavad Gita is that at any point in our life we can change. We can change our destiny. At any point you can say, this is not how the story is going to end. I'm going to change. And that's what Krishna teaches Arjuna. So yes, you always have free will. If there's no free will, there's no purpose to living. Then we're just robots. Therefore, we always have free will. Does that make sense? And flow is a very, very beautiful concept. In spiritual terms, flow state means that Krishna has a plan for each one of our lives. Krishna has a plan for you. You have a certain personality, you have a certain ability, and you have a certain beautiful thing that you're meant to do in your time in this world. And flow means to somehow become so pure that you can understand what it is that Krishna wants to do through you in this life. And if you manage to become an instrument in Krishna's hands, then you'll see that amazing things will be done, not by you, but through you, because you can be an instrument in the hands of God. And therefore, on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, Krishna told Arjuna, I've already decided the outcome of this battle, whether you fight in it or not. But you have the opportunity to become an instrument in my plan. And so flow state means everyone has something amazing that they're meant to do in this life. And if you become free of ego and you align yourself with divinity, then you can do that, what you're meant to do. Is that okay? Thank you.
Hare Krishna Swamiji, I just want to know, like, food plays a major role in spirituality, as we know that we need to be in God remembrance when we cook food. Does consuming animal product or milk product cause harm to animals, or does it consider under bad karma?
You mean dairy products? Dairy products specifically. The Vedic teaching is ahimsa, that we must live in the most non-violent way as possible. Therefore, we try to live in such a way that living entities, other living entities around us are not harmed, are not pained in any way. Therefore, as devotees, as spiritualists, we embrace a vegetarian diet. Of course, sometimes people say, but even plants are living. So you said that you don't want to cause harm. So the Vedic aphorism is Jivo Jivasya Jivanam, that one living being must be food for another. But the natural food for the human being is plants. And therefore we embrace a vegetarian diet. And part of that vegetarian diet is also to consume dairy. Because it's said that milk is the miracle food. And therefore so many things are coming from milk. And therefore after the mother stops giving milk, then we are nourished with milk throughout our life through mother cow. Because the cow is also considered the mother. So therefore milk is a big part of a spiritualist diet. But now we find in the world that there's so much exploitation that goes into producing milk. So should spiritual people consume milk is a big question. And the truth of the matter is that in the Hare Krishna movement, there is no consensus. There are many devotees of Krishna who will not have any milk which is produced from the mainstream dairy. So they will not go into any supermarket and buy milk, because the way that cows are treated and the pain that they go through, they don't believe that that's the right thing to do. Other devotees of Krishna, what they do is they may take milk from the supermarket, but what they understand is that some exploitation has gone on here. And so what they do is every time they buy some milk from the supermarket, what they will do is they will set aside a portion of money and they will donate that towards producing ahimsa farms or cow protection. And in that way what they do is they still get the milk which is required, but at the same time they're making a positive solution to try to eradicate this kind of industry. So what we're trying to do in the Hare Krishna movement is produce more and more ahimsa projects. So for example, in Leicester, we have a farm where there are cows, and the cows are cared for their entire life, even after they stop giving milk. And in that way, they produce what we call ahimsa milk, like that. So the long-term solution is we need more and more ahimsa milk farms. That's the long-term solution.
Thank you.
Has a question? Yes.
Why do you carry around a
One of these? Yeah. This for self-defense. I didn't know what to expect when coming here to Bournemouth, so. Yes, this is a danda. So, as you can see, it's a long stick. So it has 3 bamboo sticks inside it. And the 3 bamboo sticks represent the mind, the body, and the words. And so when we take vows of lifelong renunciation, then what happens is we become a Swami. And as a Swami, one of the things we do is we carry this stick around with us, because it reminds us that we're trying to dedicate our mind, our body, and our words to serving God and serving humanity. So wherever we go, we carry this with us. So yeah, that's what it is.
Thank you. Hare Krishna Swami. I want to ask, in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna has said to follow being a karma, perform a karma instead of being performing pap and punya. How to actually follow that path, being in a grihastha ashram, how to always try to make it perfect at the end of the day. Whatever you're performing throughout the day, how to offer it to Krishna, because sometimes we just follow the wrong path, and I just get confused how to offer this to Krishna, because this is something that I shouldn't be doing.
Sure, thank you. So every day we all perform activities, and in every activity there is sometimes a good reaction, good karma. In Sanskrit this is called punya, or meritorious activity. And some activities yield bad reactions. This in Sanskrit is known as pap, or degenerative activities. Interestingly, what Krishna explains in the Bhagavad Gita is that the goal of life is to actually not have any of these reactions. We don't want to have bad reactions, because naturally that causes suffering and pain. But Krishna says we don't even want to have good reactions, because if you have good reactions, good material reactions means you have to come back to the material world. And if you have good material reactions which bring you back to the material world, then the material world is ultimately a place of suffering. So even with all the good karma, you'll still have to suffer. And so Krishna says the goal of life is not to simply reduce your bad karma, it's also even to go beyond good karma. Instead, what we should try to do is act in such a way that we perform akarma. Akarma means spiritual activity that yields no reaction. So the art of living is if you can do every single act in the world in such a way that it becomes spiritual activity. Akarma. So your question is, while living in the family, while living in the world, how can you do that? So Krishna explains in the Gita, Yagyarthat karmano nyatra lokoyam karma bandhana tadartham karma konteya mukta sangha samachara. Krishna says, Yagyarthat karmano nyatra. Every karma, every activity that you do has to be yagya, for the satisfaction of Vishnu. Otherwise, lokoyam karma bandhana. Otherwise, you will get entangled in karma bandhana. So basically, the idea is what you have to do is every single activity in your life, you have to connect it to Krishna. So it's simple. You cook every day. So, offer it to Krishna. You go to work. So then, simple. From that work, what are the results that you get? You get some money, offer it to Krishna. You get some intelligence, use it for Krishna. You get some influence, use it for Krishna. Then, what else? You have your family life. Okay, now how can you bring Krishna into the center of your relationships? How can you help each other to come closer to Krishna? In this way, what happens is gradually, bit by bit, you begin to spiritualize every aspect of your life. And when it's connected to Krishna, then no more reactions. It becomes spiritualized. So basically, you just have to think about how every activity can connect to Krishna. And practically everything you can. Is there any activity in your life that you're struggling to connect to Krishna?
So sometimes when we do not follow all the Vaishnava rules that has been given, it's not always possible. Sometimes our mind takes over and makes us do things that we don't want to do. In such circumstances, what should we do? At the end of the day, is that all that we need to just say sorry and move on and then try to,
We make mistakes. So it's not just about saying sorry when we make a mistake. We also need to ask ourselves, why did I make the mistake? How can I make sure I don't make the mistake again? And what am I going to do and change in my life to become better from this mistake? Then what happens is every time you make a mistake, it actually helps you to move towards perfection. So Krishna, he says to Arjuna, people may make mistakes. Apichet suduracharo. Sometimes someone may do something very bad. But Krishna says, sadureva samantavya. Still, I will consider them saintly if they continue on and they try and they learn and they improve with determination. So Krishna is not expecting you to be perfect. But Krishna wants you to be sincere. To make a mistake once is natural. To err is human. But then the second, third, fourth, fifth time, then we can't, you see. So therefore, yes, Krishna is kind, Krishna wants us to succeed, and Krishna isn't expecting you to somehow be some invincible person. But Krishna does want you to be sincere and genuine and honest. Like that. Yes.
Does one need to plan for the future, or shall a person more live in the present? Because if I don't plan for the future, then how do I prepare myself for the future? But if I plan for the future, I might screw up my present. So, what's that?
Should we plan for the future? Hopefully. We all have bank accounts, right? Well, I don't. All of you have bank accounts, right? Planning for the future. All of you have insurance. Planning for the future. All of you, we have to, every single day, we have to be practical. So planning for the future is not a problem. Just as so long as we don't forget that we have to live in the present. There's a way to plan for the future, but live in the present. And that means that we don't put so much emphasis in planning that we forget to appreciate the beauty of the moment I'm in right now. What happens in the world today is because people are so dissatisfied with where they are right now. They make plans and they live in the future because of their dissatisfaction with the present. A devotee doesn't make plans for the future because they're dissatisfied with the present. A devotee is satisfied with their life now and happy and relishing the beauty of the moment. But they're making plans for the future because they want to understand how to increase that beauty and increase their service to Krishna. And so, yes, by all means, make plans. But two things. Number one, don't forget to live and appreciate the beauty of what you have right now. And number two, know that when you make a plan, Krishna may just decide to change it. And therefore, never become attached to your plans. Never have an expectation that it must and it should and it will go this way. Because then what will happen is your plans will end up frustrating you. So make plans, but live in the present and always have a spirit of detachment. Because Krishna may have a better plan and we have to be ready to go with Krishna's plan.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. I have a question. Thank you, sir. So, which path do you think is the best for the normal person, like a working person? Which path is the best, Bhakti Yoga or Karma Yoga, and why?
First thing is, nobody should be a normal person. Krishna says every soul is amazing. So we don't want to be normal. We have to be extraordinary. So you're not normal. You're extraordinary. Because anyone, especially those who are walking the spiritual path, they are very, very rare. And therefore, every single person who contacts the teachings of the Bhagavad Gita and begins their spiritual path, they are much beyond normal. They have the opportunity to do incredible and amazing and impactful and powerful things in their life. You may not realize how much you have just by coming to these programs. Coming to these programs is not just a cultural thing. Coming to these programs is not just an opportunity to have some social exchange. Coming to these programs means you are acquiring a spirituality which can empower you to do incredible things in your life. So no one's normal. But I understand what you mean by normal. You're saying someone living in the world. Is that what you mean?
My question was, which path I should pick up?
Yes, but you're saying why living in the world and...
Yeah, while doing day-to-day activities.
Yes, yeah. Therefore, Krishna tells Arjuna not to walk away from the battlefield. But Krishna tells Arjuna to stay on the battlefield. But what does Krishna say to Arjuna? Yat karoshi yadashnashi yat johoshi dadashi yat tapasya shikonteya tat kurushva madarpanam. Krishna says to Arjuna, you stay on the battlefield, but what you begin to do is start connecting every aspect of your life to me. Do it madarpanam, as an offering to me. So therefore I was saying to the lady here at the front, you have a job. So use it for Krishna. You have a family. So make Krishna the center. You have a home. So keep Krishna in the middle of that home. You have certain talents, abilities. Use those for Krishna. You have certain friends, people who you are in contact with. Tell them about Krishna. Then what happens is you become even more than a sannyasi. Krishna says in the beginning of the 8th chapter, Anashrita karma phalam karyam karma karoti ya sa sannyasi cha yogi cha na niragnir na cha kriya. Krishna says, who is a sannyasi? Is this sannyas? Externally, yes. But the real sannyas is someone who karma phalam, the fruits of all of their karma, they use it for a spiritual cause. In other words, you can be a family man, but if you dedicate everything and connect it to Krishna, you're more than a sannyasi. That's real sannyas. Therefore, wherever you find yourself, you have the opportunity to make your life spiritual. And if you do that, then your life is perfect. So like this, base your life around Krishna. And perhaps the most simple way of looking at it is do 4 things in your life every day. A, B, C, D. A means associate. Every single day associate with devotees. B, books. Every single day try to read spiritual knowledge. C, chanting. Every single day try to chant Krishna's names. And D, diet. Every single day offer your food to Krishna. These are 4 simple things you can do every day. Associate with devotees, read books, chant Krishna's names, and offer your food to Krishna. And if you do that, your life is spiritual. As spiritual as any Swami. And then you won't be normal. People will come to you and say, whoa, you're not normal. And you should look at them and say, thank you, thank God I'm not normal.
Hare Krishna Swami. I want to ask, there are many paths in life, right? Even just within Hinduism. What made this Hare Krishna movement stand out to you?
Wow, thank you. Good food. When I came to the temple, there was one question I had which I was convinced nobody could answer. I was convinced nobody could answer this question. And I came and met one of the guys in orange. And I said, I got a question for you. He said, all right, tell me. And I said, but I don't think you can answer this. Nobody can answer this. He said, try me. So I said, if there's one God, why are there so many religions? And he looked back at me and he said, there's only one religion. And that's the religion of how to love God. And whether you do this way or this way or this way, if it helps you to develop love for God, it's the same religion. And therefore he said that all the religions that have come down in the history of time, actually they're all coming from God. And they're all actually teaching the same thing, but they're giving different details of knowledge. And therefore, we don't have to say one path is right and one path is wrong. Actually, we understand that every single spiritual path, if it's practiced with sincerity, it will take someone towards God. So the first thing is that for us, we're not sitting here saying we are doing this path and this is the right path and everyone else is wrong. We can appreciate whatever spiritual path anyone may be walking. However, why am I sitting as a Hare Krishna then? Why am I not sitting as a Christian? Because although every single path can take you to God, every path has a different amount of detail. And therefore, if you look objectively at every single spiritual path, then from my study, and everyone has to make their own decision, I have not come across another path of religion or theology which has this amount of detailed knowledge of God. If you want to find the deepest and the most profound understanding of who God is, what God does, how God looks, what God likes, how God loves, if you want to find all this detailed information about God, then you won't find it anywhere like how you find it in the Vedic literature. That doesn't mean that those who practice another religion are not advancing to God. They are. However, the amount of detail and sweetness that you'll find in the Vedic path, that is unique. And therefore, we respect all religions, but we embrace this path because it's the most evolved theology. Does that make sense?
How to overcome the fear of missing out? Fear of not being able to be there for your parents. Fear of not being able to be there with your loved ones. How do you overcome?
How do we overcome the fear of missing out, the fear of not being there with our loved ones, like that? In our life, we have to understand we are limited. We can't be everywhere and we can't do everything. What we need to do is when we go to bed at night, we need to be able to say to ourselves, I tried my best. If you can go to bed at night and say you tried your best, and if you genuinely did try your best, even if you find that you're not able to be there for someone, or you're not able to do this thing, or you're not able to achieve that, I guarantee you, in your heart, you will not feel any dissatisfaction. Krishna says to Arjuna in the Bhagavad Gita, Karmanyeva adhikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana ma karma phalaheturbhur mate sangostva karmani. Krishna says to Arjuna, all you can do is try your best. You're not in control of the results. You're not in control of the outcome. And Krishna says to Arjuna, if you focus on doing your best, if you focus on your intention and your effort, then that in itself will be your reward, and you will feel inner happiness because of that. So that's what we focus on in our life. That at least I should go to bed at night saying to myself, I did the best I could. In this relationship, I gave the best of myself. In this endeavor to achieve this thing, I gave all the energy and attention I could. And then, once we've done that, after that, we're not in control of everything. So just focus on trying your best. Is that okay?
Guruji, as we already, you mentioned that this life is the karma that what we have done in the past life. If you feel that in this life itself, you are facing all the difficulties of this Janma's karma, what we have done in our past. So is it that the path towards the mukti, to meet the Almighty and don't have any other life?
Sorry, can you just rephrase your question? I skipped.
As you already mentioned that this Janma, whatever we are, this life, is our previous karma, what we have done, and we are preparing for the next Janma, you said. So if you feel that in this Janma only, you are getting back of what you have done in your past in this life only, can you say that it is a path towards getting into mukti, where you are meeting the Almighty Krishna and you are just like don't have life in the future?
All the karma that we're going through now is not just a reaction to the past, but is Krishna's way of teaching us that we're not meant to be here in this world. Why does Krishna give us difficulties? Why does Krishna give us tests? Why are there so many challenges? Why are there so many difficulties in this world? Why is it that when we wake up in the morning, we don't want difficulty, but it just comes? We could say all of it is karma. But deeper than that is all of it is Krishna's love. Because Krishna is teaching us that why do you want to stay here? Why do you want to hang around here? Why do you want to try to make a happy situation in a place which is ultimately doomed? Therefore, everything we go through is meant to make us question. Why am I here? Why is life like this? Where is happiness really to be found? Therefore, the wise person, when they go through life, life will make them ask these questions. And 99.9% of people, when these questions come, they just ignore them and they carry on trying to be happy. But 0.01%, when these questions come to their mind, they will think, yes, let me question. Is there something beyond this? And that moment when you begin questioning, that moment when you begin exploring, that moment when you begin that journey back to eternity, that is the most beautiful moment in your life. And all of you have begun that journey by coming here, by asking these questions. So yes, you may be going through your karma from previous lives, but don't worry. All of it is Krishna's way of reminding you there's another world, there's another type of happiness, but that type of happiness is beyond the material. Is that okay?
So Maharaj, I'll take over the session.
Okay, yeah. Oh, sorry, we forgot you back there.
Yeah, so sorry, we need to continue a bit.
I can see there are many more questions,
Yeah,
but here
but,
are some questions also.
Because we are celebrating Gaur Purnima, so there has to be some questions about Chaitanya Mahaprabhu as well. So Gaur Purnima is an appearance day
Let
of
her ask and then we'll come back.
Lord Chaitanya's appearance day we are celebrating today. So Mahaprabhu took sannyas at an early age. If you could tell us something about that.
So I don't know how much everyone here is familiar with Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, but it's important to maybe discuss something basic first. In the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna mentions, you all know the verse, Yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bhavati bharata. Krishna says, whenever there is a decline in religion, at that time I descend into the world. Many of you have heard this word, no? Avatar. Ava means to come. And tar, or tarine, means down. So the word avatar literally means when God comes down. Down from where? When God comes from the spiritual world into the material world, then that is known as avatar. So Krishna says that in every age, what happens is I come into this world and I assume a different avatar. So in Treta Yuga, Krishna came as Ram. In Satya Yuga, Krishna came as Nrishingadev. In Dwapara Yuga, Krishna came himself as Krishna. So then the question remains, did Krishna come in Kali Yuga? Because that's the time when we're living in right now. And most people don't know this, but Krishna actually came again in Kali Yuga, in this world, 500 years ago. And when Krishna came 500 years ago, then he assumed the form that you saw today. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Okay? So this incarnation of Krishna is very, very special, because every other incarnation of Krishna, Krishna actually shows that he is God. But this incarnation of Krishna, when he appears in Kali Yuga, he comes as a devotee. He's God, but he comes as a devotee. E mata bhakta bhav kori angikar apani achari bhakti korila prachar. It's explained in Bengali that when he comes in Kali Yuga, then he assumes the form of a devotee. And by his own example, he teaches the world how to practice bhakti. So 500 years ago, Krishna appeared in this world as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was in the world for only 48 years. And when Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was 24 years old, then Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu took sannyas. Why does God have to take sannyas? But remember, God in this form is coming as a devotee. And so at the age of 24, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu takes sannyas. And the reason he takes sannyas is because he then wants to travel all over India and spread the holy name of Krishna. And then eventually that holy name of Krishna also spreads outside of India and goes around the whole world. So yes, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu took sannyas at a very early age in order to benefit many, many people with spirituality by traveling and preaching.
So Maharaj, the question is that why don't many people know about Chaitanya Mahaprabhu? Like we are celebrating Gaur Purnima. We don't know. Many of us don't know what we are celebrating. So.
Well, one basic problem in Kali Yuga is we don't know many things about spiritual life, because in Kali Yuga most people are not reading anything, or most people are not really hearing or exploring any of the actual scriptures. I was also born in a Hindu family, and I can tell you for practically the first 15 years of my life, I had zero clue what I was doing. I was coming to the temple every single week, and I had no idea. I had no idea where I'm coming, what I'm doing. I mean, I knew where I'm coming, but I had no idea. Why do you ring a bell when you go into the temple room? Why, when the flame comes around, do you put your hand over it and put it to your head? Why do you bow down in a certain way? What are all these things they're offering in an arati? Basically, I didn't know anything. And the reason is because we don't take the time to learn. So the first reason why most people don't know about Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is because most people are not taking the time to learn spirituality in a deep way. It's amazing, everything else in life we learn it so systematically. Everything else in life we learn it so seriously. Everything else in life we have a structure for learning it. But when it comes to spirituality, that same amount of seriousness is not there. So I would say that's the first reason. But then the second reason is, even when people do study spirituality or the Vedas or the Bhagavad Gita, they still may not know about Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, because as I mentioned, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is a special type of avatar, an avatar known as a Channa avatar, which means a covered incarnation. So when Krishna comes as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, then he doesn't come as God, he comes as a devotee. And therefore, if one doesn't have the deeper understanding, then they will just think that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is a saint, is a sadhu. They won't actually understand that he's God. So therefore, this is the other reason why many people don't know, because this is a confidential avatar, a covered avatar.
So Maharaj, then there are different sects and everyone can come up with different avatars. How do we know who is avatar and who is not?
Yeah, so now we live in a world where so many people are claiming to be the latest incarnation of God. So how do we know who is actually the Supreme Person? So the first thing is scripture. Any avatar or any incarnation must be predicted in scripture. Therefore, you will find every single one of the avatars which have descended in this world, if you go back to the Vedas, then they will be predicted. And so, if you try to understand Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, then you will find many, many references in the Vedas, in the Upanishads, in the Puranas, which basically verify that this is actually Krishna who has come again. So the main way in which we detect who is an avatar is because the scriptures will predict it.
Yeah. Thank you, Maharaj. So the next question in line is that when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came as devotee, he predicted the worldwide Hare Krishna movement. So what is this Hare Krishna movement, if you could explain in a simple way, or so to say normal way?
Yes, as I mentioned, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came to the world, and the most fundamental teaching that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was giving to the world is that in this age, it's very, very difficult to be spiritual. But in this age, there is a very, very easy way to attain that spiritual perfection. And the very easy, practical, efficient, effective way to reawaken your Krishna consciousness is through chanting the holy name of Krishna. So Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came to this world to reveal that the Maha Mantra is the greatest gift that each one of us could ever receive in our life. And then Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's followers, what they did is they took that Maha Mantra and then they traveled all across the world in order to share that Maha Mantra with others. And so in 1965, Srila Prabhupada, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, he came to New York. He came all alone, he came with no money, he came with no friends, he came not with good health. And at the age of 70, he arrived in New York, and he just went to a New York park, and underneath the tree he started to chant this Hare Krishna mantra, and that was the beginning of the Hare Krishna movement in the West. And then over the next 12 years, he circled the globe 14 times and practically spread the Hare Krishna mantra to every major city in the world. And now that Hare Krishna movement continues to expand and teach people how they can actually awaken pure Krishna consciousness.
So Maharaj, like you mentioned, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's main what he gave us is chanting of Mahamantra or chanting names of the Lord. So most of us know what chanting is. Chanting is taking the names of the Lord. It sounds simple, but still it is very difficult. Why?
It's difficult because we all have a mind. And we have a mind which is very, very distracted. A mind which is very, very inventive. A mind which is very, very negative. and a mind which is constantly magnifying and making small things very, very big. And therefore this mind makes it very, very difficult to chant. The interesting thing is that the mind is what makes it difficult to chant, but chanting is the only thing that will make the mind easier to live with. And therefore in the beginning it's a struggle, and it will be a struggle, and it requires discipline, it requires determination, it requires an incredible amount of dedication. But gradually what one will realize is that as they begin to become more and more committed to the process of chanting, then gradually they'll see that the mind becomes more and more peaceful.
So, Maharaj, like some of us are new here, and there is a new term, or not new term, it's different term, which ISKCON says is Krishna consciousness. So what is this Krishna consciousness, and how it is different in practice?
So consciousness means to be aware of something. So all of us are conscious because we're all aware of something. Krishna consciousness means to live our life in such a way that we're always conscious of the most important person who we're all connected with in a relationship of love. Krishna is like the root of the tree. And when you water the root of the tree, then the entire tree becomes energized. So to live in Krishna consciousness means to perform every single one of your activities in awareness of who that one most important relationship that you have is. And when you do everything in connection with that, then what you'll find is that all parts of your life become successful. So Krishna consciousness means just that. To live in life, to continue doing what you're doing, to perform your duties, to fulfill your obligations, to pursue your goals and your ambitions, but to always be aware of that relationship with the most important person. And when you do things in that consciousness, then everything becomes successful.
Yes, that's deep. So Maharaj, if Krishna consciousness is just keeping Krishna in center, what is your view on the role of the spiritual master? Can I practice Krishna consciousness without a guru or a spiritual master? Or accepting a guru is a must requirement?
In one sense, all of us have accepted a guru because all of us are learning. We're learning from other spiritual people. We're learning from Srila Prabhupada in his books. We're learning from the devotees when we come to the program. We're learning on the internet when we watch a class. So in one sense, all of us already have gurus. So gurus are necessary, teachers are necessary. In any sphere of life, when you want to learn anything, you always learn it through a teacher. So spirituality is no different. So the first thing is, I would say that we already have accepted many gurus. And the more that we strengthen our relationships with our spiritual teachers, then the more benefit that we will get in terms of what they're able to give us and share with us. And at one point, yes, one may decide to make a more serious commitment and take initiation from a guru, and that's also a very beautiful step in someone's journey. And that is also very much required. Someone may say, I don't want, well, why does it need to be so formal? I can just learn from someone. Why do I have to take a formal initiation? But I guess you could say it's just like getting married. Why don't you just live together? Why did you make vows? Why did you spend so much money on a wedding? Why did you formalize it in that way? Because it was an exhibition of your commitment to each other, and because it made the relationship go deeper, because you made a commitment publicly, and that's very much creating a deep impression in the heart. So at one point one will find a teacher to whom one wants to make a commitment like that, and when that natural inspiration comes, then one can take a formal guru. But until then, one can have many gurus and learn from all of them.
So Maharaj, like you said, we can have many gurus, and internet is one of that guru. So many paths.
Depends what you're watching.
So many paths, so many gurus. How to understand this is the right guru? What if we start following some wrong guru?
Everything begins with faith. Ado Shraddha. If you say, I don't have faith in this guru. No, I don't have faith in this guru. How do I know if any of these gurus? I can't put faith in any of them. Therefore, I will not put my faith in any guru. But then you put faith in your own mind. So therefore, we have to put faith in something, and we will put faith in something. So therefore, what we can do is we can listen to all of the gurus. We can use our intelligence, we can ask questions, we can observe them in their life and see whether they're practicing what they're preaching. And then we can put a little bit of faith and try to follow them and see whether it helps me in my life. And then if it does, then you can put a little bit more faith. And like that, gradually you can develop a relationship with the Guru. So therefore, we must try to put faith, because ultimately you have to put faith in something.
Thank you, Maharaj. So because of time constraint, I know we all have many questions. And it's good we have many questions so that there's a reason for you to come back again to answer these pending questions. So I want these pending questions to remain pending so that we have you again soon. So before closing, just one last question for today. We have started a program named Bhakti Sangha where devotees come together and they practice this Bhakti Yoga. If you can share some of your experience, how such programs help and how it helped you personally.
As I was mentioning, I grew up in a Hindu family. When I was 15, 16, it occurred to me that I didn't really know anything. And therefore, I went to the temple and I got a Bhagavad Gita. I started reading a Gita maybe for 1 or 2 years. And then what happened is I came to one class at the temple, to one Sangha gathering. In 1 hour, I learned more than 1 year of reading by myself. And I realized if you want to learn spiritual knowledge, it's not that you shouldn't read books, but you need to read books in the association of people who are living those books. And therefore, if you all want to advance in your spiritual journey, then this is a unique opportunity. It's a unique opportunity to not just learn the knowledge, but learn how it applies to your life. And not just that, it's a great opportunity to understand how you can find spiritual solutions to the complexities and the problems and the difficulties that each one of us are facing in our lives. And so I would say coming to the Bhakti Sangha, developing friendships, coming here and asking questions, it will give you so much spiritual strength, spiritual knowledge, and spiritual direction in your life. And it will actually help you to deeply become Krishna conscious. So yes, please take advantage.
Thank you so much, Maharaj. So I think for now we need to close this. I know we have questions are never ending, and that's the hunger. It will always remain, Maharaj. So is that give you a reason to come back again soon? Because we left many, many souls hungry today.
No, thank you so much. Yes, very happy to be here with all of you. And I heard so much about Bournemouth and everything going on here. So wonderful to see all of you and how you're all growing in your spiritual journey. So yes, hope to be back again soon. Hopefully next time with a bit better voice. So I was just struggling today a bit. But yes, very happy to be with you. Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Maharaj.